Swap and Shop Center in Lawrenceburg is your go-to stop to complete your home, business, a combination of both, or really anything you can think of. This is family-owned and operated business at its best.
This is Swap and Shop Center in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your evening update.
Windy conditions today and off and on bands of heavy rain and thunderstorms rotating on the outer edge of what was once Hurricane Francine as the circulation moves northward through Mississippi. You also see to our south over central Alabama now a tornado watch stretching from Tuscaloosa and Birmingham down toward the Montgomery area for this feeder band of thunderstorms that will rotate northward. The higher instabilities to the south though, so I'm not sure. Pretty certain we're not going to get a tornado watch tonight over North Alabama or southern Middle Tennessee. However, the threat's not zero, and that does not mean that we might not see a stray tornado warning or two across our local area here as we head through the overnight. And that threat continues on into our Friday. We have a lot to talk about here as we go through the weather update. Before we get into details, here's an overall summary of the impacts that will continue tonight and through Friday from what was once Hurricane Francine. The most significant threat we have in southern Middle Tennessee, northwest Alabama, and northeast Mississippi is the potential for flooding, especially flash flooding, like street flooding, flooding in low-lying drainage areas that don't drain that well. Because the water levels are low in our rivers and our lakes and our streams, this isn't really a widespread river-type flooding because of that, which is certainly good news, but this could cause enough problems, and it's a significant threat. A widespread 3 to 5 inches of rain is a base minimum expected across the area. However, there is going to be a banding in North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee of heavier training rainfall where we see 4 to 6 inches with isolated higher totals than that. So that will cause some flash flooding issues, and those flood issues may extend on into Saturday with locally heavy rainfall. In addition, tonight through the first half of Friday, these wind gusts that we've already had of 30 to 45 miles per hour will continue. In addition, both tonight and Friday, we have the threat of a few spin-up type tornadoes across the area, so a few tornado warnings may be necessary, and we'll have the Weather Center fully staffed for the duration of this so that we can provide live, non-stop coverage if there are any tornado warnings in our viewing area of southern Middle Tennessee, northwest Alabama, and far northeast Mississippi. Because of that combination of things, a few scattered power outages could continue to happen across the area tonight and through our Friday, much like what we saw earlier today. Flood watch continues across our entire viewing area, southern Middle Tennessee, North Alabama, back into North Mississippi, from now all the way through 7 a.m. Saturday morning for these off and on repeated bands of heavy rainfall wrapping around the center of the circulation. A general baseline of 3 to 5 inches of rain in our area, but 4 to 6 inches plus in flooding in those heavier banding areas. So we have to watch very carefully, and flash flood warnings could be issued with time across our area. In addition, there is a wind advisory through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning for our North Alabama counties and Hardin County, Tennessee, Tishomingo County, Mississippi. Now, this is the area where there's the better threat of 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust. However, 30 to 40 is still possible up through southern Middle Tennessee, even though there's not a wind advisory in place. We feel there should be, but there's not that much difference whether there is or there isn't. We're just giving you the forecast information that even though there's not an advisory here, we've already seen 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts today in these areas, and that will continue through the overnight and the morning and midday of our Friday. Here's the Futurecast breakdown showing these bands of heavy rain and thunderstorms lifting north into the area. Now, one thing I'm noticing is Futurecast is keeping us in the 60s as this moves in. So that may mean that the unstable air stays to the south. That wouldn't completely kill the tornado threat altogether overnight, but it would keep it on the much lower side, which is certainly good news. It won't be zero though, so we'll have to watch things carefully. There may be periods during the overnight where the rain slacks off for a time, but it won't be over. As we head into Friday morning, we start to see these heavy training bands kick up again, and with a few breaks of sunshine, we're likely to warm into the mid to upper 70s as early as tomorrow morning. With those heavier bands kicking in and the wind shear, the spin in the atmosphere is still in place, it may be Friday morning into the afternoon where the tornado threat in our local area is a little higher, and that will continue on through the afternoon until we get to the late afternoon and the evening. Will still be unstable. We'll still have thunderstorms around, but the later we get into the afternoon and the evening tomorrow, the wind shear will continue to weaken because Francine circulation weakens. And that wind shear, that spin in the atmosphere, you need that for a tornado threat. If we pull that off the board, we take the tornado threat off the board. So even though we'll still be in the 70s tomorrow evening and thunderstorms tracking through, we'll be losing that wind shear. So the tornado threat will be diminishing, and that will be the case all the way through Saturday. Even though rain and thunderstorms will be here, the tornado threat will not be, because we'll no longer have the wind shear. But tonight, 1 or 2 spin-up tornadoes cannot be ruled out across southern Middle Tennessee, northwest Alabama, northeast Mississippi, even though the higher threat is to the south of our area. Morning through the afternoon, southern Middle Tennessee, North Alabama, far northeast Mississippi, tornado threat will continue from west to eastward time, and it may be a touch higher tomorrow than it is tonight, even though it will still be on the lower end of things. There may be a slightly better chance of a few tornado warnings. In addition, 4 to 6 inches of rain across a large part of North Alabama up into southern Middle Tennessee. Outside of that, area-wide, 3 to 5 inches of rain. And in both areas here, there could be isolated heavier totals, and there is the potential for flooding and flash flooding. The best potential for 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts overnight will be south of Highway 64 in Tennessee and then down through North Alabama. So from Pulaski to Lawrenceburg to Waynesboro to Savannah south through North Alabama, northeast Mississippi, that's the best potential for off and on isolated wind gusts to 45 to 50 miles an hour off and on tonight through the first half of our Friday. North of that, still 35 to 40 miles per hour possible all the way up through the Highway 412 corridor of Middle Tennessee. But the remnants of Francine don't really go anywhere over the weekend. They weaken, but they get absorbed into an upper level low that sits and spins here through the weekend. So we'll have locally heavy rainfall Saturday, scattered showers and maybe a rumble of thunder Sunday. Can't rule out a shower Monday into Tuesday, even though the threat of that will be lower. We don't completely take a rain chance off the board until we get toward Wednesday and Thursday of next week. This is good news for the drought. This may even remove the drought before it's all said and done, but it will cause a flooding threat. And again, tonight and tomorrow, we'll also have to watch out for those wind gusts and the spin-up tornado threat. Tornado threat does not continue into Saturday or beyond that, but maybe a flooding threat into Saturday, a few more showers into the early part of next week, but we finally dry out by Wednesday and next Thursday. There's Luke's latest 7-day forecast. I'll be back at 9 o'clock for a final check of your local weather.